Welcome to Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio,
My name is Tyler.
and this is a very sad day in Sideline Judgment history, Tyler.
For so many reasons.
Listen, we're going to get to the Florida-Georgia game. We're going to get to rapid reactions. We're going to get to Five Wide and how both of us just had a horrific weekend in sports. But we have to start with, ironically, probably the worst one that has nothing to do with any of the teams we support. That is one...
In fact, it's the exact opposite.
Fallen soldier, Willie Taggart, has been fired by Florida State University. Can we have a Sideline Judgment official moment of silence? Thank you very much, Tyler. I appreciate the respect.
R.I.P. the dream of the Willie Taggart contract extension.
R.I.P. to what could have been. What could have been. Did you know that Willie Taggart will only have coached against Florida once?
Yeah.
One time.
He didn't even get to come to the Swamp.
Damn
it, Manny Diaz. I wanted to be the guy that fired him. I wanted Dan Mullen to be the man who fired him.
In typical Miami fashion,
ruining things for everybody.
Miami Diaz just taking things that don't belong to him.
I texted a bunch of my old high school friends because we were talking about this, and one of them went to USF and was like, "Please come back to USF." And the FC fans were all like, "Yeah," and there's two Georgia fans in there that are like, "Yeah, we had a great weekend." And I was like, "This weekend just keeps taking from Gator fans. They keep taking."
And just us, and this is I think this arguably is the worst sports weekend in Sideline Judgment history amongst both of our teams.
Personal podcast history.
Yes.
Was there anything good that happened this weekend?
No, and we'll get to what could have been considered good, but ultimately is considered bad in a moment. I just want to point out that FSU secretly raised $20 million from anonymous donors.
Which they're now denying that they did.
No, it is an officially posted ESPN report. You can't take that back, my guys.
Yeah, no, you've gone too far.
You've gone too far. The Willie Taggart era is over. We have to go ahead and do our journalistic duty. Tyler, do you have anyone who you think could be, anyone who could realistically be targeted by Florida State and realistically could take the job? Because I have one person in mind.
So we're just going to throw out a short list of names.
Realistic
first of all,
names.
In all realism, I do honestly think that 1.5 years at a program is not enough time to give this. This seems like a bit of a panic fire, but at the same time, this could be one of those situations where, you could have given it another year, but how much better were you going to get?
Yeah.
It's kind of a pull the product on the field.
Yeah, just pull the cord out now. You might as well hit the reset.
Yeah, it was so. They're gonna go after, because you kind of have to. They're gonna go after Bob Stoops. They're gonna go after Urban Meyer. I realistically don't think either of them will take it, because they're not gonna take this type of a rebuilding job in the ACC in the same division that Clemson's in.
Yeah, especially right now when Clemson is at the height of their power.
And so beyond that, I think that the hot names really are, the big one to me is Mark Stoops, the head coach of Kentucky.
That's actually a really realistic shout. And
very realistic. I think he'd be good for them.
I think he would be good as well.
For them. And on top of that, he can build a program. He's been there before. He was a defensive coordinator at Florida State before he got the Kentucky job. Mm-hmm. So beyond that, there's others obviously just hot names: PJ Fleck, Mike Norvell.
I have a name that may not be thought of immediately, but I think in the long run should be taken seriously. The Oregon to Florida State pipeline has been established, and I think Mario Cristobal should definitely be a name that scares us as Gator fans, because I really like him. But I think I don't know if he'll take it. I don't know if they'll.
I don't think he would take that job.
I don't think he would, but I think he would make sense given that he is a Miami guy. He went to the University of Miami. He coached at FIU, and FIU stupidly fired him. It's not like he had a bad time and he left and now he's having a resurgence. No. They made it to 3 straight bowl games. I think won 2 of them, and then ended up having one down year after T.Y. Hilton left, and they were like, "Oh no, get this guy out of here!" And it was just the dumbest move ever. I think he has a big stronghold in the state. He was Alabama's recruiting coordinator for a few years this decade, and he kind of was
a good recruiter.
Yeah, he's the one that got all of those players out of Florida. So
he's got Oregon as a recruiting machine out west right now.
Yeah.
Which helps that the California schools are all down.
Exactly.
But so, I mean, that's possible. I doubt he would do that because he's already had a really good job.
I do as well. It's just the name that I think we need to do our due diligence with, especially because you never know.
You got to consider that anybody's possible.
Yeah.
And
I'm strongly urging Florida State to reconsider this and to rehire him, but I don't think it'll happen.
I think that as a Florida fan, I would like them to hire Josh Heupel from UCF because Josh Heupel's not a bad head coach. I don't really think he's that good of a head coach. Yes, go from the literally most ready-made situation in the world at UCF when you got there to whatever's going on at Florida State.
He's chaotic.
As a Florida fan, that's me personally. Yeah. Sleeper pick. I'm sorry, Sergio, we have to entertain this.
No, we don't.
Joey Freshwater.
Nope, no, we don't.
Blake Kiffin.
Nope, no, we don't.
He's got to be on that list. If I'm realistically, logically the Florida State AD, I got to at least consider it.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say to that. Let's put him in the same category as Mario Cristobal, where you have to consider it, but it's not going to happen.
I really don't think it'll happen.
No,
I really do not think that Blake Kiffin FSU is going to happen.
Listen, you said this a couple weeks ago. Raul and I have been saying it for 3 years since he's been the head coach at FAU. Where else can he go that is going to allow him to be Lane Kiffin at his full, where can he go full?
He's Florida Mike Leach, except for the fact that Mike Leach loves Florida. But it's the same kind of thing where he might just stay there for a long time.
Where can he go where he can be full Joey Sweetwater? Nowhere else.
Yeah.
So that's
all right. Let's move on.
Let's move on because it's a late.
R.I.P. the dream.
R.I.P. the dream. Gone but not forgotten.
And Willie Taggart contract extension jokes. We can put them to rest.
Unfortunately,
they've served us well.
And this came out of nowhere.
Honorary discharge.
This came out of nowhere.
Really, no, I was literally sitting in the backyard with my friends and my family, and then suddenly somebody said, "Willie Taggart just got fired." And then me and my old roommate Andrew just popped our phones out. We were just checking, is this a joke?
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
It's one of those things where you'll always remember where you were when Willie Taggart got fired. I was shopping for costumes at a Goodwill. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to teams that are doing something with their football programs. Let's head over to the AP Top 25 poll. The top 4 stay the same. The top 5 have stayed the same. LSU, Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Penn State, in that order. Georgia jumps from 8 to 6, takes our spot. Rightfully so. Oregon in at 7. Utah up to 8.
Nice.
Oklahoma moves up a spot, not doing anything, to 9. And then we
love moving up and not doing anything.
We love it. And then we drop from 6 to 10, and that rounds out the top 10. Baylor 11, Auburn 12, Minnesota 13, Michigan 14, Notre Dame 15, Wisconsin 16, Cincinnati, the highest ranked Group of 5 team currently with SMU's loss. We'll talk about that later. Iowa 18, Memphis 19. I think they should be a little bit higher, but we are very excited for the American Conference Championship game. Kansas State 20, Boise State 21, our Wake Forest Demon Deacons 22, the SMU Ponies 23. They dropped 8 spots from 15. San Diego State 25, and 24. Welcome to the top 25, Navy. Welcome. So, there you are. So
I'm surprised that Florida is still in the top 10.
I'm also surprised that Florida's in the top 10. We just mentioned it beforehand.
It is one of those things that, I was at the game. Sergio obviously watching it. We are Florida fans. How we feel about that game is not likely reflected in what the national landscape probably feels about that game.
Right.
We'll get into it in just a second.
And then also how we feel about that game, maybe not reflected on how Gator Nation feels about that game, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Very much so.
Just wanted to go over the top 25 poll there. Let's move on in quick hits. The Dolphins won a football game, and I damn near threw my computer across the room.
No one tells Ryan Fitzpatrick to tank.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. I just want to talk. I just want to have a conversation. Come on the pod. I just want to have a conversation. I just want to have
Ryan, come on the pod.
You know what's funny? That I was watching the Dolphins on Instagram put up one of those, a video of Stephen Ross giving Brian Flores the game ball. And it was hysterical watching. Everyone in that locker room is happy for the victory with the exception of Stephen Ross. And it's so funny to watch Stephen Ross trying to maintain this, like, we're very proud. We worked hard all year. We're still, we got that first win over the hump. Hopefully many more to come. And I'm like, you lying son of a gun. And he's like, game ball goes to coach. First one, coach gives him the ball, and then you do not see him in the shot for the rest of the video. It's like another 2.5 minutes.
Damn it.
Oh my god! And so I'm happy for that. I'm happy for the locker room. I do love Brian Flores as our coach. So
I do too, because the Dolphins, like I said this to you, talent is the Dolphins' problem, not discipline.
No, we finally have a coaching scheme in place that is successful for the long run.
Like you can acquire talent. You can. And this is kind of feeds on what we talk about with Willie Taggart. Yeah. You can acquire talent. It's harder at the college level in the way that you have to recruit. You can't just draft people.
Right.
But you can acquire talent as a football team. But if you're not disciplined, if you're not coached well, if you don't, not commit penalty and things like that, those things don't get fixed by under the same coach. So it's good that you don't have those problems.
Right. Listen, last thing about the Dolphins. I think there's kind of a silver lining. If this ends up happening where we don't get the number 1 pick, we get the number 2 pick, because we're getting either the number 1 or the number 2 pick. Let's be realistic here. I'm perfectly fine with taking Chase Young and rolling over the quarterback find for next season.
There's enough good quarterbacks in this draft that you could probably take one.
Yes, but I don't really feel like I would justify taking such a high draft pick if it's not Tua. Personally.
Yes.
I know a lot of people that are high on Burrow. I know a lot of people that are high on Justin, Ryan Tannehill 2.0, Herbert. I know a lot of people that are feeling those ways, but I personally would not like to see that. So there's that. So that's kind of where
get him out of my life.
Hard pass.
Get him.
Hard pass. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the Fins. It is what it is. If we lose every other game throughout the season, we're still going to get the number 1 pick because we play the Bengals. So if we lose to the Bengals, they have the tie break with us. And I don't know about you, but Ryan Finley is the truth, and he will be leading them Bengals to the promised land. Watch out for the second half Ryan Finley run. Watch out, my friends.
All right, whatever you say.
All right, Tyler, we're already a little too deep in quick hits. We spent a lot of time on our Lord and Savior, Willie Taggart. Let's go ahead and talk about our college fantasy footballs update. I'm on a roll today, dude. We're 12 minutes in, and I've gotten you to laugh like 4 times already. I don't know. Listeners,
I need this. Look, it's been a weekend, man.
It's been a weekend, man. Let's go to our fantasy team. Hey, one positive thing that happened to me. I won my college fantasy game against friend of the pod, Tyler Renfro. Thanks to Travis Etienne Jr., who had, and I am not joking with you here, Tyler, 9 carries for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Hashtag efficiency.
We will talk about him in rapid reactions, but just want to shout that out. Jonathan Taylor gave me 46. Brian Edwards, 30 points in that victory over Vanderbilt for South Carolina. Ian Book leading a drive at the end, 40 points. So it was a nice weekend for me. What about you, Tyler? What happened?
I wasted a couple of good performances because there was news that nobody told me.
Shocker.
Had I known that
Tyler doesn't play the right players because of the last minute change. Shocker.
My luck, it's been great all season. The running back of Kansas State, Gilbert, who had 30 points last week against Oklahoma, just doesn't play for some reason. Let's see. Cheyenne O'Grady, the tight end for Arkansas, one of the best in the nation, is suspended, which no one told me about. And on top of it, to insult to injury, this one really pissed me off. On top of this, Bo Nix, I had to put in 2 backup quarterbacks this week. I'm going to be dropping pretty much both of them after this. Bo Nix sent me a serviceable 23 points. Nice. Keyshawn Vaughn got me 20. Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M got me 50 points. So
yeah, he's good. And he finally had a breakout game.
Yeah, but the worst of all of them, Garrett Schrader, the Mississippi State quarterback, who played for the last couple of weeks and was clearly the best one of the 2 that they had. Guess how many points he gave me?
I'm going to go with a big fat goose egg.
Didn't play. It's more insulting than a big fat goose egg somehow. Because they put Tommy Stevens back in. Yeah, it's Arkansas, so I guess, but it's not my year, man.
Listen, it's not your year.
3-7.
it's
still
not
sixth for some reason.
It's not your year. It wasn't our week for Florida. Let's just transition and go into this. Florida loses to Georgia in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, 24-17. Tyler, you were our man on the ground.
I was the boots on the ground.
You were the boots on the ground. Tell us, let's start with the positives. What was the environment like pregame, my friend?
Awesome.
From what you remember. What was the environment?
Well, okay. Yeah, it was a great experience. Lots of fun to be had. I'm speaking vaguely here,
obviously,
for reasons. But I would say, like, it was very fun. It was fun to be. I'm from the state of Jacksonville, which, if you don't know that by listening to this podcast, come on.
We got some work to do.
We got some work to do. We got some backtracking to do.
Yeah.
But great environment. So funny thing, I went with my old roommates from college. We want to start making this a tradition.
Nice.
We've talked about it, of all four of us going to the game every year.
Nice.
Hopefully that'll work. We all still live in Florida, so that will.
For now we're good.
For now we're good. But we went and we tailgated with my dad and their dads, and my dad's best friend. And we also met up with some of our old friends from college, and we were able to last minute change of plans actually ended us all. We found this random lot, which is $40 a car for parking, which, if you don't know Florida, Georgia, that's hella cheap. And so we were all able to sit together and we had this big tailgate. When we were really expecting to only have like 3 people, have, just a small tailgate, probably have to move around the whole time. And we just like hung out the entire time. Good. Got to see a couple other friends before while I was in Jacksonville. Traffic wasn't terrible leaving the game. Outcome sucked, but the environment was great. What was great about this game, unlike the last couple Florida Georgia games I've been to, the entire stadium was completely full up until the last second.
Oh, that's good.
And that was fun to me.
Wow, that's really good.
Those are all the positives.
Let's move on to
everything else.
Do you want to start with the offense or the defense?
I want to start with the defense, but I'm going to start with a general note. So okay. Georgia wins this game 24-17, and the big takeaway for me overall in this game is that Florida allowed Georgia to dictate the terms and the style of play with which this game was played. Mm-hmm. And if Georgia is allowed to play the game that they want to play, Florida cannot beat them at that. Mm-hmm. If this game had been a little bit more free-flowing, a little more possessions, less like 3-yard plays every single where it was less so that every possession mattered, Florida was playing that game, they may have won. Mm-hmm. And they only lost by a touchdown, so I don't want that to get lost in here.
Right.
But Florida allowed Georgia to dictate the way that this game was played and dictate the rules and the terms of engagement. Florida cannot win when they let Georgia make the game plan, basically.
Yeah, agreed.
So defensively, Florida could not get off the field. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. Florida could not get the Georgia offense off schedule. They were constantly on schedule. I believe they were like a 12 of 16 on third downs, something crazy like that.
It's honestly the worst third down performance I've seen a Gator defense in my 5-6 years intently watching the Gators.
I will say that one thing you have to look at is that pretty much everything went bad for Florida in this game.
Yeah.
It was just one compounded thing over the next. Florida only had 7 offensive drives this entire game.
And that's the thing. It was all one big cycle. I think you could, and there's 2 schools of thought. There is the one that I think we kind of subscribe to, at least in this game, where the Florida offense couldn't get going because the defense was kind of putting them in a hole, so that then it was a cycle.
They scored 17 points with only 7 drives. That's means scoring on 3 of your 7 drives. There were no turnovers. There were no short fields at all.
Which is a surprising thing, the fact that there were no turnovers on both sides of no turnovers at all.
There's just a clean game, technically, in that regard. And that was extremely surprising to me.
And I think it starts with, yes, I think the defense is, if we're assigning blame, the defense is kind of more to blame. But I think it starts with the first drive of the game, where we end up burning 2 timeouts, having a delay of game, 2 penalties, and we end up actually starting really well off, throwing the ball to Kyle Pitts, two or three times in that drive, and then we end up stalling around Georgia's 40, and then we just can't get through. We get pushed back, and we have to punt the football. Like those kind of dumb things. My best friends in our group chat, there was a lot of how are we this unprepared, and I don't see it as unprepared. I think we were prepared, and Mullen said it at halftime where we're actually executing the game plan when we get the chance to, we execute it, but we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Like it wasn't an unprepared thing. It was I think it was a nerves thing, you know?
I will say, I think I would agree. I also think that, like, so Dan Mullen, I feel like had to kind of throw the game plan out the window pretty early in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I kind of like the fact that, like, Florida rushed for, I think, like 8 yards the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
But again, 7 offensive possessions. The most yards you had was when you were down, so you had to throw.
Our best drive of the game was our last drive.
Yeah, and this team is already so much better at throwing the ball than running the ball. I don't have a problem with them just kind of giving up in the run game because, like, the Georgia's defense, I don't know if it's the best, but it's the most complete, I would say, version that we've seen.
Right.
Auburn's had one unit that was so elite, and the rest was good. And Georgia's is just very, very good all around. They're coached very well. Florida's offense, I mean, Dan Mullen is also the type of play caller that he is a groove play caller. You know, he's like It's about what he feels, and he's naturally good at that. And that when you only get 3 plays a drive, that doesn't really lend that to you. I'll say that it's one of those things where I've kind of come to. So this team was 7-1. Now they're 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
And a large part of the reason that we are so good is coaching, and that Dan Mullen was coaching this team to be its best self. And I do think that this is where we have to have that conversation about recruiting, because recruiting allows you a bit of a margin for error to win games when your coach isn't having his best moment.
Right.
Like Kirby Smart, if you gave Kirby Smart and Dan Mullen the same talent, I still would take Dan Mullen every time. But what Kirby Smart has that Dan Mullen doesn't have is Kirby Smart has a level of talent that kind of helps overcome or at least buffer any mistakes that he might make.
Mm-hmm.
This was a game where Dan Mullen just didn't have, like, there was a conversion of events that kind of just led to this not being one of Dan Mullen's best games as a coach. That happens. He's human. We're all, that's part of football.
Right.
But I do think that, again, Georgia was allowed to dictate how they wanted to play the game, especially on offense, and that was with line play. They actually did not run for a lot of yards. Florida's defense really stopped the run.
And I will say the front 7 really were very aggressive, and Jabari Zuniga in the first drive had a Brandon Spikes hit over Swift. Like, we got talent.
The problem is that they could not affect Jake Fromm in the passing game.
Nope, at all.
Couldn't get any pressure on him.
No. And that's the thing where we talk about coaching. This is the moment where we have to kind of bring up Todd Grantham has coached phenomenally last season and has coached really well this season with the exception of LSU and Georgia. And you have to kind of think where our program, I think, is on pace and on track where it should be. But you have to ask the question, is he the right guy to push the next level? You know what I mean? You have to be able to push to win those big games. It's the Mark Richt effect. Mark Richt was phenomenal for 10 wins a season, but he was never able to get past that hump. You know what I mean? And we're trying to see if Kirby Smart can do that now. I obviously think Dan Mullen as a head coach can do that for us, but we also need proper coordinators as well because Mullen is an offensive coach.
Todd Grantham has always been a high variance coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He has a nickname called Third and Grantham for that reason.
Yeah.
Like, he is a high variance coordinator. You all know this about me. I'm so hesitant to criticize based off one performance. I literally saw tweets after the Auburn game of giving Todd Grantham a lifetime extension.
Yeah. No.
And I'm pretty sure they weren't sarcastic. So fan is short for fanatic. I think all of Gator Nation definitely was fire Grantham, leave him in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Seems a little ridiculous to me.
I think as well it seems a little ridiculous. I think it's appropriate
it's a
to ask
question.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate to ask a question, and it's appropriate to say, hey, you messed up on a few things. The safety rotation wasn't the best. We need to, but then again, that's the thing where if we have a higher level, it goes back to recruiting, what you said. When we have those games when Grantham maybe isn't on his A game and is maybe at a B, but when you go up at a B, when you have your B game against a team that has 5 stars on the other side and has the best talent, some of the best talent in the country, you can't really compete with bag dropping at a certain point. And bag dropping, I'm just using as a euphemism for good recruits coming. Yeah, recruiting in general. Like, we understand the process, we get it. But that's what I mean. Like, good players will put you in that situation. Yeah, there were a lot of mistakes made. There were blown coverages in one possession games.
But how many times? Here's the other thing is that I have to. And when you're the head coach or when you're a defense coordinator, the buck does stop with you.
Right.
Like, you are, if you're not coaching it, you're allowing it and things like that. But I always say this: how many times do players get coaches fired? Like, is it Todd Grantham's fault that Brad Stewart got fooled by Georgia and allowed Lawrence Cager to score a long touchdown to basically seal their victory? We don't know that. Same thing as if a play gets blown up. Is it that Dan Mullen and John Hevesy should have done a better job coaching the offensive line, or is it the offensive lineman's fault for not getting where the play is? You can have the best offensive play call in the world, but if somebody doesn't execute, that's not really the coach's fault. Or is it because they should have had them playing better?
Right.
This is the kind of thing. Again, we don't know. We're not on the team, which is why I personally am always, and I think you're the same way with this. You have to be hesitant when you're making these criticisms. But it is an extremely warranted question because this is not the first time that these things have shown up.
And not the first time in the most important games.
Yeah. So, I mean, we say this all, and I said this on Twitter, like, if you were only looking at Twitter, you would have thought that we got blown out yesterday.
Oh, yeah. It was a 7-point game.
It was a 7-point game.
And it goes to show
I had a Georgia fan that I know being like, you're a fluke holding call from being down 21. And I was like, well, you are a Lawrence Cager catch that should have been overturned, I would say, from not even being leading in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
and we're not even...
Neither of those are applicable to me.
We're not even going to go into the referees because we know what the referees are, and we've talked about it multiple times this season. It's part of the game. It sucks.
It's absolutely
There were
sucks,
calls that went against us that probably would have swung the game, but we're not going to harp on them because it's part of the game. And you know what? We're just going to go that way. Are we going to say that the SEC officials need there are problems? Yes, but that's league wide. It's not just the Gators thing. I'm sure Georgia's been gypped out of calls in the past, as I'm sure every other team in the conference has.
Yeah, I just don't really buy. I mean, I love to make jokes about it. I absolutely do. I don't really buy this whole refs are against us or anything.
Don't put
the refs just sometimes they make bad calls.
Yeah, don't put yourself in a situation where you have to rely on the referee to make the right call. That's what I got to do.
Exactly. That's the thing. You got to overcome.
Listen, I think we've talked about this ad nauseum. We got to get moving. We don't have as much time as we usually would. It's getting late. But I do want to mention, I want to say this was Tommy Townsend's last Florida Georgia game. His last cocktail party.
Correct.
I think I already did. So just want to shout out to that. Evan, doing your thing. We support you, my guy. Best field goal kicker in the country in our eyes. Number one in our heart and number one in the depth chart. We love you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to say about the cocktail party? Listen, we're moving ahead. We'll talk about the game against Vandy on Wednesday's episode, where we'll talk about what we want to see going forward. But this was kind of just like a little requiem. Game.
All this being said, if Florida has 3 games left, all very winnable.
Mm-hmm.
They could finish 10-2, chance to go 11-2 with a bowl game. That's really good.
Yeah.
It's disappointing because Florida was fringe in those college football playoff talks, and now they're not in those anymore.
Well, you know what?
And technically, this is crazy to say, technically, the SEC East, they could still win the division if Georgia would lose 2 of their next 3. That includes at Auburn, Texas A&M at home, and Missouri at home.
So here's my.
They can certainly lose one of those games. I doubt they will lose 2.
We will talk about that a little bit more on Wednesday. But I'm just saying there is a little bit of hope. I'm just not going to put my hopes be as optimistic.
Still a chance to be a good season.
Still a chance.
This team just needs to not let Georgia beat them twice like they did last year.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and close the book on the cocktail party. Hopefully, we'll both be there next year. I know you will be. Hopefully, I can get a chance to go. But we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead to rapid reactions, Tyler.
Yes, sir.
We're going to go ahead and talk about these games here. We're going to run through these quickly, as we always do, 1 minute maximum per game. And there were some good ones in here, Tyler. I know you didn't watch as much as
Sergio's going to carry me on this one because I just, as is stated, I was rather distracted.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
A good way.
I haven't really, and on Sunday I spent a lot of time with my family and then had a 5-hour drive to get back to Panama City. So yeah. I am not the most up to date. I know a couple things, but we'll let Sergio take the reins on this one.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and do this. Put the timer on, my friend.
Timer is ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. I put the first thing as don't tell Travis Etienne Jr. what to do. Those who don't know, after Clemson's game, I want to say against who did they have before last week? Who did they play before? I don't know. Whoever they played before. I think it was Louisville. No, whatever. Anyway,
Boston College.
Whatever. One of those ACC teams. In that game, apparently Travis Etienne Jr. didn't play to the level that Dabo Swinney wanted to, and he said that he lit into him, and he said when you have a fire up in your rear, when you have a boot up in your rear, you play better. And yeah, Travis Etienne, 9 touches. We said it before. 9 touches, over 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. That man does not like to be told what to do. This is another statement to say, please, just because Clemson plays in the ACC does not mean they're one of the best teams in the country. And we're going to leave that at that. We're going to move forward. Let's go ahead and head up to South Bend. Ian Book with a game-winning drive. Book it. Yeah,
You're very funny, Sergio.
Virginia Tech.
How long did that take you?
I want to say a good 40 seconds. Originally, I put Virginia Tech, you had one job, but then I realized that what really happened there was Ian Book took over the game. He drove, I think it was 80 yards to run in the football at the end. It was raining in South Bend. It was a sloppy game by Notre Dame. Notre Dame loses one of their starting offensive linemen for the season. I think he fractures his ankle. Was not good. But they end up coming back and beating Virginia Tech, which honestly, we really wanted you to win Virginia Tech, but it is what it is. Moving forward, Cincinnati fans, you can exhale now. This was stressful.
Hand of God.
Cincinnati fans, this was stressful. They were playing ECU on the road, and they ended up having the game tied 43-43. They had to drive and hit a game-winning field goal to win the game to stay first place in the American. That was the slip-up that UCF was looking for. That's what I was watching. I was watching from UCF perspective, and I was like, oh boy, if ECU wins this football game, this is exactly what UCF needs to
just get back into the conversation.
To get back into the conversation, right? I mean, just get back into the conversation. But now Cincinnati kicks that field goal. Whew, go ahead. Moving forward to UCF, I put UCF wins the Space Bowl. They end up dominating Houston in the chef's kiss of uniforms. They had their Citronaut.
Their space uniforms?
Their space uniforms going, and it looked...
It is a damn shame that Houston does not counter with their own uniforms.
I don't understand.
What the hell?
I think I shared a tweet with you as someone said something along the lines of, this needs to be an annual rivalry, where I think they play every single year. They're like a crossover, but this needs to be like an annual thing where they break out special space uniforms for this game. It needs to happen. It's a requirement.
That's the content that we need.
It's the content that we need, yes. It's not the one we want. It's the one that we need.
This is what we need.
Yeah. Moving forward, Drew Brees with a Hall of Fame-esque speech. Hall of Fame speech from a Hall of Fame player. He went back to Purdue for his game, right? And before the game, they showed a video of him in the locker room, and he basically called out every single position group, and he was like, DBs, I want you to play with swagger. I've never met a DB that was successful that didn't have swagger, confidence, and arrogance. You need to have that. Quarterbacks, we throw darts. We throw dimes. We don't throw bad passes. We throw darts. And Drew Brees telling you playing the same position that he played at Purdue, and Drew Brees is telling you we throw darts, you say, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We throw darts.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Thank you, sir. May I have another? They end up beating Nebraska at home.
Side note, Nebraska.
Dude, there is not enough things that we could say about Nebraska.
There's a conversation that needs to be had.
I cannot wait to go through the numbers at the end of the year in our season review podcast, where we talk about Scott Frost and how much of a fraud this man has been this year. Hopefully he turns it around. I still believe. I still believe
he's a good coach, but he's never had adversity like this before.
No, he has not, and we are excited to see how he responds. Let's move forward. FAU stays alive in the Conference USA East race, eliminates Western Kentucky. Lane Kiffin ends up not wearing khakis and white. He ends up wearing khakis and a navy hoodie, and then he puts on the white jacket. I know for all you sideline fashion people like me, it was a very interesting look to see. They stay alive. Unfortunately, Marshall beats Rice for FAU, so we're still looking at it. Marshall next week plays Louisiana Tech, and Louisiana Tech needs to beat Marshall in order for FAU to take over first place. Yeah, not have a shot, but take over first place, because if Marshall loses, right now they're tied with losses, with one loss, but they hold the tiebreaker. Marshall loses and FAU wins out, it's a wrap, B. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
Next up, ladies and gentlemen, your bowl eligible Tulane Green Wave.
Aplausos, yay!
Tulane is bowl eligible, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell to the yes. Talk to your children about it. Sing about this day.
I cannot wait to be sitting in Florida with a beverage and a meal and watching the Tulane Green Wave and their saucy uniforms and have my father come in and say, "Why are you watching Tulane?" And I can point to the TV and say, "Because it is literally art on a field, my friend." Cannot wait.
Got the nicest uniforms. Like, they just look clean.
Cannot wait.
Even when they get dirty.
Incredible. To the Pac-12. Oregon State will give you offense, Tyler, and you will like it.
You're going to take that offense.
You're going to take all of that offense.
So this reminds me of a story when I was like 2, and I was at a Starbucks with like my dad and my mom, and I'm a 2-year-old, and I was like, "Ooh, look, a cookie," and I wanted the cookie. And I begged my parents to give me the cookie, and they bought me the cookie. My dad hands me the cookie, and then by that point, I had like one bite, and I didn't like it because I'm a fickle 2-year-old, and I kept being like this. And my dad is screaming in the middle of the coffee shop, "You're gonna eat that cookie!"
You wanted a cookie,
and to which my
mom will have it.
To which my mom thought was absolutely hilarious, and that we must have looked like crazy people. But this is basically that. You're gonna take those points.
Never, ever, ever.
Arizona, you suck.
Yeah, Arizona, get it together. Get it together. Moving forward. UCLA stays on brand with the weirdness.
What third straight double-digit win in the Pac-12?
Listen.
They started off 1-5.
Are they turning things around?
It's like an NFL team.
Oh, like having stretches where they're bad, but then coming back and having good stretches?
Yeah, where like the weird thing about the NFL is that they'll just randomly be good, and then randomly teams will be bad, and anybody can lose to anybody, and it's not really that weird.
Right.
And you don't really get quite that level in college. Mm-hmm. You're getting it here.
Oh, yeah. Listen, UCLA is 4-5. Let's take a little stroll and try to see if they can be bowl eligible. Are you ready for the last few games?
Yes.
At
you got 20 seconds.
At Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 4-6. USC.
Doable.
They can win there. It's a rivalry game. They could win there. And then they finish the season at home against Cal.
Oh, they could go to a bowl.
If they go to a bowl, is the narrative with Chip Kelly different?
I just want to entertain. Yes, I just want to entertain the possible narrative that Chip Kelly is doing a better job at UCLA than Scott Frost in Nebraska.
Wow.
Just for the lulz. Just for the lulz.
Just to think that the 4 big names that offseason were Dan Mullen, Willie Taggart, Scott Frost, Chip Kelly, and we ended up being blessed by the Lord with Dan Mullen. Wow. Incredible. Who would have thought Willie Taggart got fired before Chip Kelly?
See, I'm not surprised by that, though, because, like, UCLA sucks before Chip Kelly got there, so they're like, yeah, take your time. Mm-hmm. Whereas Florida State was just like, man, if we just hire a good guy, we'll be back in it. And that didn't seem to actually be the case.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think I got one more. Yes, I do. I have, and I'm very proud of this one. Super Romney Bros. Doo-doo!
No? You're going to have to explain.
Okay, so this is in reference to BYU beating Utah State 42-14, where
42-14, jeez.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't even good. But Romney, our friend Baylor Romney, quarterback for BYU, who we talked about last week, apparently his brother is on the team as a wide receiver, and he threw him a touchdown pass.
That's the kind of familiar stuff that I'm looking about.
That's what I was talking about.
This is the content we like to see.
Listen, it was in the third quarter where BYU was just blowing the brakes off of Utah State, and the broadcasters, all they would talk about was about, man, you just love. It was the obligatory. How many times do you think they did that growing up? Banter that they have that you have to go through.
I mean, you gotta, but
incredible.
Last entry. This is not college football related, but it is a win for the college football people. Lamar Jackson just beat Tom Brady on Sunday Night Football.
Broward County's own Lamar Jackson. Thank you.
But it just happened, so I feel like we need
Broward. Yes,
we are recording. I'll say it for you this time. Broward.
Thank you very much, Tyler. And yes, we are recording late on a Sunday night because of...
I literally just walked in the door from driving about 5 hours.
That's dedication, ladies and gentlemen. That's the dedication you want in your
I have not unpacked.
Listen, we're done with rapid reactions. Let's talk about our 5 wide and 2 points, and then that way we can talk about our moments of the week, and then we can get to bed because we both got work in the morning. Let's do this right here. Miami, Florida State, 3:30 ABC. Miami goes into Tallahassee, beats Florida State, ending the Willie Taggart era. Literally ending, yes, the Willie Taggart era. They win 27-10. Tyler, I don't know if you saw. Listen, you definitely didn't see this game because you were at the Gator game.
Very distracted.
Yes, I did not see the game because this was games like Florida Georgia. I don't like to flip back and forth because I don't want to miss anything, and I'm
the same way with Florida games when I watch them.
My anxiety was at not an all-time high, but pretty high this game, just because I knew what this game meant and how big of a rivalry game it was. So I didn't watch this live, but I went back and I saw some highlights, and oh my God, do the Florida State defensive backs not know how to play. Miami burned them.
And the crazy thing is that Miami has been so hit or miss on offense.
Yeah.
The whole season, there have been flashes, but they've not been consistently good at all. And from the little bit that I saw of this game afterwards, FSU made them look good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. FSU's defense was so bad that it made Miami look like it made Miami's offense look like the offense that Miami thought they were going to have against us at the beginning of the season, when it was nowhere near that. So we both picked Miami on that one, rightfully so. We both get the points. Let's move out west. Utah took on Washington in Seattle. Utah Utes end up winning a close game that was basically decided by a pick six that was thrown by Justin Herbert, 33-28. I mean, oh my gosh, I just adjusted. Sorry. I'm looking ahead. By Jacob Eason, 33-28. Utah wins on the road in Seattle. A great victory. It's not going to look like the best victory for the playoff committee later on because it was against a 3-loss team. They dropped to 4 losses, which Washington's got to be the best 4-loss team in the country.
I would argue that.
It's a shame that they have lost 4 games and they've lost really they've
super
lost
close.
Super
Every
close
single one of them super close.
Easily
games.
Winnable.
They could easily be undefeated right now.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so Utah ends up winning that game. Didn't watch much of it because again it was at 4 same time. But
this is one that I've gone back and watched through it all. And
of course you did, because you love Jacob Eason.
No, this was the first one on the docket. I was just like, I have to watch this game. I was very impressed by Utah.
Yeah, it was nice.
And this was
their defense
awesome.
Showed up, dude.
This was great for the Pac-12.
Their defense was scheming. They were confusing Jacob Eason. That interception, that pick six in the third quarter, was really just it wasn't Jacob Eason making a dumb mistake. It was Utah disguising coverages and jumping the routes really, really, really well. Utah defense did really well.
They're a good defense.
Yeah,
and they're a good team. And Tyler Huntley's a good quarterback. And when Zach Moss and Tyler Huntley are both on the field and they're both healthy, Utah's got a good offense.
We are very, very, very excited for this Pac-12 title game, which now we can have.
We can kind of almost lock it out.
So long as things go the way they should, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the Oregon game. To go back, I was the smart one with this game. I picked Utah. Tyler, you picked Washington, so I ended up getting the point. You did not get the point. Let's move forward to a game where neither of us got the points because neither of us were correct. We both picked SMU to beat Memphis, and Memphis just proved us wrong. In this game, talk about Utah's defense being phenomenal. There was no defense played at the Liberty Bowl Saturday night. It was phenomenal.
Liberty Bowl, it was trying to free those offenses in the name of liberty.
It was incredible. Memphis wins 54-48. SMU scored. The amount of times that Kirk and Chris Fowler was just in amazement as to how little defense was being played in the American Conference.
I didn't listen to this game. It was on, but I was talking to people for my neighbor's house.
Yeah.
and because we had a lot of people over after the game. But it was like on, so I couldn't hear the broadcast. But I can imagine how Chris Fowler, like how his voice gets when he's like, "Hey, they score again!"
Yeah, you could hear the like.
How is this happening?
Yes,
like when he starts
crazy.
to laugh as he's saying something.
You could tell he's used to like Big Ten football and where the defenses are muddy and stuff, whatever. And he's like, "What is going on in the group?" He must think that like the Power Five is like a normal person, and the Group of Five football is like a normal person on cocaine, and that's what the American was. The American was just like, "You want points?"
No, this game was that while being chased by a squirrel.
Oh yeah, while being chased by a squirrel, and then every 10 minutes you take a shot of Fireball. Like it was just like all over the place, all over the place. So many points, so great. We need to take Memphis seriously. We need to really take Memphis seriously because I think Memphis is going to beat after this weekend. I think Memphis is going to beat Cincinnati in that American.
That's a big regular season matchup.
And I would love to see Memphis, who they match up with in a group of 6, in a New Year's Six bowl game. So
I do too. I hope they make it because Memphis has been so close the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think it's finally their time to shine.
Really good for them if they could break through.
Yeah. Good times in Memphis. Football team doing well. Basketball team expected to do well. Good times for them. Neither of us get the point there. Going on to the game that disappointed me.
So tell me about this game, Sergio. What was it like?
The Virginia Cavaliers went into Chapel Hill to play.
My Virginia Cavaliers.
All right, slow down. We're not about to claim a team in the
ACC. My fighting Bryce Perkins.
You do not want to claim a team in the ACC Coastal. I just want to let you know that. They still have to play.
I should not pick loyalty. It'll kind of muddy the way that you enjoy the Coastal.
Exactly. You just need to enjoy the chaotic horribleness that is the ACC Coastal, because I'm kind of attaching myself to UNC because of Mac Brown, and it hurt this weekend. Virginia went into Chapel Hill.
Every time you get attached, they burn you.
Every time. They end up beating North Carolina 38-31. Tyler gets the point on that one because he picked Virginia. I picked North Carolina. Sam Howell in the fourth quarter, they were balling. They were balling in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden, interception within the not the red zone, but like within the 30. And then at that point, it was just too much. They were running the option, and they were running the football, and it was effective, and yada, yada,
Honest question. Does North Carolina know how to play any other game than a close game?
No, and for the sake of content, I love it.
I'm okay with it. This is gonna be one of the most fascinating seasons of football for any team ever, where it's like all 12 games are like within a touchdown. So it's like if you line up all of these points, they could have been 12-0.
You know what?
They could have been 0-12.
Can I give you a dream matchup for the Cheez-It Bowl this year?
Oh, give it to me, baby.
Oregon State and North Carolina.
That's not ugly enough.
It's not ugly enough?
It's not ugly enough for the Cheez-It Bowl.
Okay, so we got to go back to the drawing board.
Give me Illinois, UCLA.
No. Give me who's like chaotically bad but is going to get a bowl game. Okay, give me Virginia. No, they're not going to make it.
Give me Pitt, Illinois.
Give me Pitt, Illinois. That's
what I want.
That's the game I want. Give me Pitt, Illinois. That's what I need. All right, I'm glad we Cheez-It Bowl drop the bag.
Wrap that stuff up. Give it to me.
Cheez-It Bowl, drop the bag. Oregon, final game of 5-wide. Oregon shellacked USC 56-24.
I looked away for 5 minutes and looked back up, and Oregon was smacking them.
So I texted you, right? So USC ends up driving at the end of the second quarter, right? They score a touchdown. They threw over 40 passes in the first half.
That cannot be healthy.
Tyler, I looked at the stat and I was like, "Are you? Is this happening?" I looked at Raul; he wasn't paying attention. I looked at my mom; she was asleep. I was like, "Is this? Are we watching this game right here?" Like, I need someone to help me, talk me off the ledge here. What's going on? It was incredible, Tyler. Over 40 attempts in the first half, and then they end up scoring, right? There's like 12 seconds left in the half. They kick it off, and what did Oregon do? They take the kickoff back for a touchdown before halftime. Oh, it was incredible. Incredible. I think the important thing here is that, Oregon's offensive line and running back, as we know, is really, really, really good. And also, Oregon is a contender for the playoff, like a serious contender for the playoff. This Oregon-Utah potentially hopeful Pac-12 championship game is going to be phenomenal. That Friday night.
I cannot wait.
No one talked to me I'm going to be either at home watching it, or I'm going to force some people from work and be like, we're watching this football game. And we are going to a bar, and we are, like, shoving it in our veins because this is going to be phenomenal content.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. We both picked Oregon, so we both got the points there. Let's move on to our 2-point conversion. Mine was Kansas over Kansas State. And I have a question, Tyler.
Yes.
Can I count the first Kansas football sellout since 2009 as a victory for me? Can I get 1 point for that?
Let's see. If I was going to say, like, if you accept the fact that either Lane Kiffin or Les Miles is going to take the FSU job,
I don't know what would make.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not true. It would make me more sad if Lane Kiffin took the FSU job, and I would be really pissed. But if
I wouldn't know what to think if Les Miles took the FSU job. Like, is this good or bad for us?
I don't know. It would be the worst.
So
it would be the literal worst thing.
We play him every year, but at the same time,
it would be the worst thing to happen to Kansas.
To Kansas, of course.
It would be the worst thing to happen, especially after. What if this documentary ends with Les Miles going, fuck it. Excuse me, sorry. Forget it. I'm gonna go to the ACC and go to Tallahassee. Talk about content.
Oh, one of the greatest single season storylines ever.
Incredible. Anyway, I didn't get any points there. Kansas State beat Kansas 38-10 handedly. Wasn't even a game. And then
Luckily for you.
Tyler, your TCU Horned Frogs lost to Oklahoma State 34-27, which means you also didn't get your 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time that a TCU, what is his name? Gary Patterson.
There you go.
Coach TCU defense has given over 200 yards to a one running back.
Yikes.
Oklahoma State had over 300 rushing yards total. Chuba Hubbard had over 200.
Chubba, choo-choo. No?
It's good to see him getting back to form. You know, he has, I saw this a crazy stat. He has 2 of the top 10 offensive seasons in, I believe, Oklahoma State. In college football history as far as a yardage perspective.
Okay, more than Barry Sanders.
And one of them is active. One of them is his current season.
Who has him in fantasy?
I don't know, not me. I'm an idiot. Even though when it was picked, I was like, I know that's a good pick.
Yeah.
But to find out.
And he probably went like in the 5th or 6th round. Because people don't know. Anyway, all right, so we both get 3 points this week, bringing the total to Tyler 44, Sergio 41. I keep the 3-point distance. We got a few weeks left, man. We have to figure out, are we going to end this? We should do this. I think we should end it after championship weekend.
You think so?
I think championship weekend.
You don't want to include bowls?
No, because we have our own bowl extravaganza.
Okay, all right.
So we can do better at picking regular season college football games and then better at picking bowl games.
All right. Okay.
All right.
I'm good with that.
I just want to let
gives you less time to catch up.
Wow. I just want to say.
Sure about this?
I'm sure about this. Yeah, because the bowl we've done our bowl. This is going to be the third. All 3 years. The past 2 years we've done the bowl prediction.
Word, Sergio.
It's 11:30. I'm tired. I still got to fold laundry and go to bed. I have to meet a student at 7:30 in the morning to go over diction, because the teacher I am. Anyway,
you're a nice guy. Don't ever let anyone ever tell you different.
Thanks, Tyler. That's the friendship I need. If anyone wants to, drop any kind of bags,
become friends like this with us.
If anyone wants to just channel their inner Kirby Smart and drop a bag, you can go ahead and email us at sidelinejudgment@gmail.com. We will literally do whatever you want us to do. You want us to dress up as dinosaurs and give a press conference a la Mason Fine? We will do it. We will do it, my friends. Don't you worry. We will enjoy it. We will have a great time. And you will be supporting us in our endeavors.
We'll take that back and we'll like it.
Yeah, you will be supporting us in our endeavors, in our future website that we're trying to build, and in all the gear that we're trying to acquire. So bag dropping goes a long way. I can guarantee you that. Tyler, at the end of this day, let's go ahead and give our official moments of the week while we end up this review episode. And I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you. This was a horrible sports weekend. It is very difficult for me to find.
This is one of the worst sports weekends I've had in quite a while.
This was a bad sports weekend for us. Let's try to find some good out of it. I I didn't really give thought to my moment of the week this week.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first, bud. You go first while I think.
Well, you kind of already ruined it, but North Texas quarterback Mason Fine, in the spirit of Halloween, after throwing 7 touchdowns in a win over UTEP, went to a press conference in a full-blown inflatable dinosaur suit and answered every question at this press conference, as realistically as possible, while in a dinosaur suit, again with his 2 teammates that are in completely normal clothes. And I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that's not amazing.
That's the great. It's pretty fine, if you ask me. Thank you. Yeah, I know.
Wonderful moment of silence there.
I know. Incredible moment of silence.
Yeah, that's my moment of the week. That made me smile and laugh more than pretty much a lot. More than pretty much anything this weekend.
Okay, so let's go ahead and give me. I'll give you mine from this weekend. It actually happened 4 hours ago. Raul and I were playing a game of NCAA Football 14, and we were honestly doing it because I was like, listen, I need something good to happen football-wise in my life this weekend. So
you need a win.
I need a win. So we played. He played with Alabama. I played with Clemson. And remember, in 2014, Deshaun Watson is in the game. I think it's sophomore year Deshaun Watson, or freshman year Deshaun Watson, but Deshaun Watson nonetheless. So I'm playing with him, and I end up going down. It's pretty bad. I have a picture here. I end up going down 28-7 at halftime. It's pretty rough. I end up winning this game 38-35. Tyler, let me read you the stats here.
Give it to me, baby.
I had 7 first downs. I had 66 rushing yards. I had 185 passing yards.
What?
I held the ball for 8 minutes and 27 seconds.
What?
And I scored 38 points.
How?
So I want to let you know one of my.
How in God's green earth were you able to do that?
So one of my.
Can you teach the Florida offense how to score that many points with so little yards?
First you need your defense to play lights out.
Oh, ring, is that Dan Mullen calling?
First of all, you need your defense to play lights out in the second half because I held Raul to 7 points in the fourth quarter, in the second half overall. One of them was a pick six. I did have a pick six in the third, but I ended up with a minute. I think it was with 35 seconds left. I had 2 timeouts. I end up getting an interception around the 50-yard line, and I drove down, and I ended up it was first and goal, 2 timeouts. I run the football. I don't get it. I call timeout. Second down. There's 9 seconds left. Second down. I run the football. I don't get it. I call timeout. 5 seconds left. Third down. I run the exact same play that I ran on second down, except I ran a play action. I had the tight end seal for 2 seconds and then run out up into the flat. He thought it was the exact same play. Go over the top. Touchdown. 2 seconds left in the game. 38-35. I squib it. He ends up falling on it. Game over. That's how it's done.
This is I probably, if I was there, would have been the same way I was when Deshaun Watson threw that touchdown pass to win the national championship. I literally jumped out of my seat.
It was incredible. I jumped out of my seat. I was like, ah! And my poor mom was doing work for grading for her class behind me, and I felt bad, but she was kind of really focused, so I didn't feel bad as well. And Fro was like, oh man, but I just still can't believe that I won that game 38-35. I had 7 first downs, and I had just over.
Right to win.
I had just over
a must-champion effort.
A must-champion effort, exactly. I had no idea how it happened, but it happened. So that was my moment of the week because all my other sports stuff was horrible. So.
Last bit. Last thing before we wrap this up, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What college football head coach do you think would give out the best candy for Halloween?
This is a phenomenal question. So I think the trick-or-treating experience would be different amongst different coaches. So for example, the first coach that came into my head was PJ Fleck. And I just think PJ Fleck would give you the king-size candy bar. You know what I mean? He'd give you the king-size dark chocolate Hershey's bar, that rare chocolate bar that I love. You know what I mean? He'd be like, oh, you like the milk, you like the cookies and cream one? Oh, I got you, and he'll hook it up with her. But then again, if you go to Coach O's house, right? You go to Coach O's house.
You get more than candy.
He's opening the door. And he's going, Halloween, and this is going to be like an experience. You know what I mean? Or,
give it to me, baby.
You could go, and this is going to be a fun one. Ready? You can go down to Joey Sweetwater's house.
Oh, Jesus.
Pull up on the boat. Get there.
Joey Sweetwater's house is where the adults go.
Joey Sweetwater's house is where all the single moms go to. Oh man. No, but to answer your question, I think my answer was PJ Fleck. I just think he's such a nice guy that he's gonna hook it up with the best candy. And that's the thing.
I'm going to Dabo Swinney's house.
Why are you going to Dabo Swinney's house?
He's good with kids. He's gonna treat them kids right.
That is true. He's gonna treat
everybody who matters about liking him loves him.
That's true, but I feel like he's gonna switch it up though. I feel like he's gonna be like, "Hey, here's some great rare candy, but I'm only gonna give you half of what you thought you were gonna get because you know what's good for you to not eat candy. So I'm gonna give you some candy, but I'm also gonna give you a little bit of celery as well. Be on your merry way." And I'll be like, dude, really? You gonna give me celery? It's Halloween.
He's gonna cross him up on the basketball court while you do it.
He definitely would. He definitely would do that. What kind of candy do you think Willie Taggart's gonna give out? Because he's got $17 million to sit on.
Oh, you mean so he can basically do whatever he wants?
Yeah.
There's part of the other thing where I'm like, yes, he got fired and that sucks. You never want to be happy that somebody got fired. Like that sucks. But also, that's $17 million, baby.
Oof. Last question.
I would love to be paid $17 million to not show up to work.
1,000%. That's the goal in life, to be honest. We stand a legend.
Let's see. What is something that looks good but didn't actually turn out good? It gets everywhere. Hurts.
Whoppers?
Yeah, Whoppers is a good one.
Maybe Whoppers. Maybe the Reese's cups, but like the ones that are individually wrapped that come in like the plastic bag.
True.
Because they don't end up being as good as actual like just Reese's in the orange container.
That's very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree.
Or like you get, I mean, some people. I'm not a fan, but like you.
I think Edo on top of giving out like actual food, gives out Kit Kats because Go Gators.
Last thing. What is Mike Leach's Halloween experience? What is a Mike Leach Halloween experience?
He gives out Finding Sasquatch books. And offensive play sheets.
And offensive, yeah.
He invites all of the kids of all of the coaches from the other Pac-12 teams to come like to his neighborhood to trick or treat, and he gives them all fake scripts. That is doing it for all this time. We thought we knew, but we don't.
He's done it once. Who's to say he won't do it again?
That's just the kind that we know about.
Exactly. He's probably did it multiple times. Oh my god. All right, Tyler, we're an hour and 3 minutes in. It's 11:45. We got to get to bed. This has been another episode of Sideline Judgment. Don't forget that we will be back on Wednesday. We'll be back on Wednesday with a preview of the Vanderbilt game. We will be breaking down the first college football playoff rankings, and we will be talking about our 5-wide and 2-point conversions predictions for next week because I have to make up some ground, my friend.
Been saying that for like 6 weeks now.
Just saying, at one point it was 7 points. I'm down to 3. Slow and steady wins the race, my friend. I got this.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, you keep wasting time. I'm going to start pulling away.
Tyler, there's nothing else left to say with the exception of we are not biased. But go Gators.
Go Gators.
In all kinds of weather, go Gators.
We all stick together.